Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96, and you're watching my opposition analysis video on our next opponents, who happen to be Olympiacos. That's right. Hopefully this time we get it right. Hopefully this time we rewrite history and beat this team to get through to the next round. Listen, we are doing better than last season. We are one step ahead. We're now in the last 16 rather than being knocked out of the last 32. I really hope history doesn't repeat itself, because if it does, we're going to be in for a very long, grueling season, despite there only being 11 games left or so. Listen, I want Arsenal to get to the finals and lift this trophy as much as anyone else does, but make no mistake, this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a very tough game. Olympiacos are no mugs. They are European contenders, season in, season out, regulars. They will have as much experience as anybody else, playing in the Champions League group stages, playing in the Europa League, in the latter stages as well. And we're going to delve into what makes them tick. Why is it that they're able to do some of the things they do? Why is it that they're able to beat us in the last 32, in the round of last 32? So let's start off with talking about their starting 11. Let's analyze the players that they have, some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, the type of formation that they play. It's quite common nowadays that most teams are beginning to adopt a 4-2-3-1, which is an adaptation of the traditional 4-3-3 formation. You got four at the back, two central defensive midfielders or centre mids playing in front. Then you got an attacking midfielder in a number 10 role. You got wingers on the left and right, and then you've got a sole striker playing up front by himself. We know though that despite it traditionally being a 4-2-3-1, despite looking at it on paper as a 4-2-3-1, it can change, and it often does when you're playing on the ball or off the ball. And it's the same case with Olympiacos. You know, when they're on the ball, they like to get their defensive wide men going down. They like to get a centre mid to slot in between the centre backs when they're going forward, so that they've got three at the back there. And off the ball, they're very well organised. They have a very tightly knit, structured back four, sometimes even back five, to stop the opposition from breaking down their wall. But in terms of players, we know one player very, very well, and that's Socrates Papastopoulos, who until very recently was an Arsenal player for a number of years. We know what Socrates is capable of. He is a decent defender, you know. He's got the Greek passion in him when he plays, when he performs. I remember against Olympiacos last year, he almost scored in the final minute, I think, of the first leg. He hit the bar with a header, the 86th minute, something like that. They've got Bar at the back as well. Most notably, one of the guys who missed out on the first leg. I'm not sure if he plays for them anymore. I'm pretty sure he does. Let me try and find out. I should know this from the top of my head, but I don't. Ruben Semedo. That's it. Ruben Semedo. Really good defender. I rate him quite highly. He's 26 years old. Oh, he was born 3 days before me. He's 2 years older than me. Yeah, Ruben Semedo is very big built. He is dominant. His presence is good. It helps them. It helps them to look quite difficult at the back to beat. And with Socrates as well, you know, that's another depth, that's another element. So those two at the back are definitely, you know, difficult to get through. They can do a good job. However, it's the players going forward that worry me. They've got a lot of quality going forward with Bukalakis, Mvia, Valbuena, Camara, Bruma, El-Arabi. They've got others as well, like Hassan. Yes, Ahmed Mahgoub. Fortunis. They've, this isn't a team that you can just walk all over. Yes, this is a team with talent, with talented players. You wouldn't often think about them representing the Europe's, creme de la creme, but they must be respected because they do have a group. They've got a group of attacking players who take their chances when they're given. Let's talk about their last 6 games not in the league, because they're 16 points clear in the Greek Super League. There's no point talking about them there because, there's with all due respect, there's a lack of quality in that league to challenge Olympiacos. There's PAOK there, there's AK Athens, but other than that, even them, the quality, the difference, it's quite big, the gap. But in Europe, because they did start off their campaign in the Champions League and they did manage just by the skin of their teeth to get into the Europa League to finish 3rd place. So their last 6 games, they beat PSV 2-1. Sorry, they lost to PSV 2-1 away. They beat PSV 4-2 in the first leg, which was enough for them to go through and progress into the last 16. Their last game of the Champions League, they lost 2-0 to Porto at home because of a red card. Well, that red card was quite late. They lost to Marseille in France 2-1. Man City beat them in Greece 1-0. And Man City beat them at the Etihad 3-0. So those are the last 6 games. Obviously, they haven't had much luck in the Champions League. They beat Marseille in the first game, the opening game, and they've lost the remaining games. Having said that, though, they do look relatively strong at home when they play and when they don't concede a red card like they did against Porto. But Man City had a hatful of chances they should have taken that didn't. And often most teams that go to Greece when they play against them, they do have opportunities, amples of opportunities to finish them off, but they don't. I don't know whether that's because of the way that Olympiacos are set up, or because teams aren't clinical enough. But there's some sort of psychological issue with scoring goals at Olympiacos despite having the chances and opportunities that teams get. So look, now that we've discussed some of the strengths that they have, El-Arabi has goals in him for days. Bruma, the pace going forward. Valbuena, his experience in France, in Marseille. He's a quality player. Camara as well. A very intelligent player with a lot of pace going forwards. Bukalakis, I really like this player, actually. I think he is a hybrid of a centre mid, but also someone who isn't afraid to get forward. He isn't afraid to take long shots as well. He is very much a person that glues the team together. I like him. And on the bench, Hassan, Fortunis, like I said. Well, that's about it as far as I can see. Threats, So now that we've discussed the starting 11 and the last 6 games and the formation that they play, I haven't been able to really pick up the style of football that they play, but having watched a few of their last previous games, I can tell you some of their strengths and weaknesses, which is important so that Arsenal can try and take advantage of this. Let's start off with their weaknesses, especially in defence. Defensively, they are very weak. But one of their benefits, one of the strengths that they have is also to do with their defensive shape and organisation. But let's start off with the weaknesses. when they're going forward, they like to pile men forward. They like to attacking numbers. But in doing so, they often leave the defensive half quite naked off the ball. On the ball when they're attacking, they'll have 3 defenders, a shape of 3 central. So the wing backs will be quite naked. It'll be easy to exploit. And even the centre backs, because there's 3 of them there, they need to try and cover as much grass as possible. So if the opposition are hitting them on a counter-attack, those 3 centre-backs will spread as wide as possible, leaving gaps in between. So it's really easy to run in between the lines. And, we saw it in the first leg last year when Pepe got that free kick, which looked like it was a penalty. Laka or someone played him through, I think it was Lacazette, run through the lines because they were so wide open, had to commit a foul, and could have been 1-0, but that free kick wasn't taken really well. That's one of their biggest weaknesses, something that they're going to have to try and fix, especially if you're playing against an Arsenal side who are so good on the counter-attack. They are rapid, quick, fast. When you got Partey who's able to play one ball from the back over the top, you got Aubameyang who can run behind the defence, who likes to do that. Pepe down the wing as well. Depending on who starts, all of our wingers are naturally inclined to trying to exploit those flanks. But off the ball, when they don't have the ball and when they're happy to sit in a defensive shape, it's all good and well that you're organised and structured. But if you're going to sit back and just invite the pressure, it's not going to be, that structure and that shape isn't going to help you very much. And again, that's another weakness for them. They sit back and they invite pressure that they can't always deal with. Normally, when you're sat back in a defensively, tightly knit structure, you want to try and break down the attack as quickly as possible. You want to try and put some pressure, maybe play a higher line than they do, because they don't play a high line. They play very deep into their half, and they're almost wanting opposition attackers to come into the box, which is the most dangerous place for attackers to be, because they've got opportunities to score on sight, they've got opportunities to play it square to other players in the box, and it gives an opportunity for the opposition to pile men into the box. So sitting back and inviting pressure when they can't always deal with it is another big problem. Despite being organised at the back, like I said, they don't want to commit any tackles. They don't want to shut down opposition players until the very last moment. And even then, sometimes that's a little bit too late. Poor on defending corners. They've conceded a lot of goals on corners and on set pieces. And I think really most of the weaknesses that they have in their squad has to do with a little bit of structure and organisation, but also their attitudes defensively when they don't have the ball. Let's talk about their strengths, some things that they are good at. They are good at many things, of course, being top of the Greek Super League, 16 points clear. They must be doing something right. I think some things I noticed is that they're very good, as well as it being their biggest weakness, it is also one of their biggest strengths. They're very good at organising themselves defensively. Their defensive shape is really nice to look at, and it covers the majority of the grass, sitting in one nice bank of 5. Most teams have been doing that. When teams decide that they don't want to, that they're not going to attack, that they're happy to sit back and invite the pressure, that they're going to play on the counter attack, they often sit, especially with this formation, they often sit with 5 at the back, to make sure that there is a very strong wall there to make it as difficult as possible for opposition attackers to get through them. And like I said, they're defending numbers. They're really good at that, organised. What I noticed in the first encounter with them last year is that when they do decide to start going forward, they're rapid at it. The passing ability, the interchanging passes, the passing and movement combo is really good. The level of intensity when they're going forward is quite high. Often teams are quite, and I guess I'm only referring to last year's game because that's the most relevant one to talk about. It's the most relevant one to compare to. But, you know, like I say, last year when they were playing with that high intensity, passing and moving, getting into dangerous spaces, it was really quick. And Arsenal were almost struggling to keep up and struggling to recompose themselves. Hopefully we don't get the same of that. Hopefully Arsenal are a lot more organised when Olympiacos throw men forward. But another thing that strikes me about this team is that they grow in confidence as the game goes on. The longer the game goes on and the longer they are in it, the more confident they will gain, the more risks they will take as well. But they're an intelligent side. They don't take unnecessary risks. They are happy to sit back and to defend. And when they win the ball, they will then play it out as quickly as possible to get into the right spaces. They are very dangerous going down the flanks this season more than ever, with the likes of Bruma as well, with his killer pace. I mean, he is one fast player, very, very impressive. Valbuena as well. And I wanted to see, I was watching one of their highlight games and I was quite interested there was a player that really caught my eye, number 11. I'm going to see because he made a really good assist in one of the games and I want to find out who it is. Fane. No, that's PSV's player. I'm looking at the wrong team sheet. I can't seem to find who it is. Oh, of course. Why am I being stupid for? Their main man, El-Arabi. Unbelievable. El-Arabi is another player that likes to play similar to the way Aubameyang plays, down the wing sometimes, and cuts into the box, but also he is a target man in the box, so that makes them dangerous also on set pieces. Good at hitting free kicks from long, good at piling bodies into the box, especially with Papa there as well. And on corners, and they're not afraid to shoot from distance, and that's what I like about this Olympiacos side. They're very ballsy. They're not afraid to do things like that. Take shots from long, overcommit a little bit. It's entertaining to watch, and it does pay off sometimes as well. Those are the strengths and weaknesses, and that's it, really. I'm not really an expert on this Greek side. I've tried to analyze as much as possible, and that's what I've gathered from watching some of the games. As far as I know, I don't think they've got any injury worries going into this game. We're literally days away from the first leg. I'm quite worried. Tomorrow I will be... Well, before I say what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, first... I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up, seeing as we've come right down to the end. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit the bell notification to be notified every time I release a video. Like I said, I release a piece of content every single day. If you're an Arsenal fan, you should highly consider subscribing because you'll be getting something every day. But yeah, like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Today's a Tuesday, tomorrow's a Wednesday. Wow. Time flies. Tomorrow I'll be talking about Arteta's press conference as well as giving my match day preview. Well, I think I'll be doing my match day preview on Thursday because it's a late kickoff. So tomorrow, Arteta's press conference. Let's see who's likely to play. It'll be interesting to see what the mindset is going into the game. But look, until then, stay home, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.